Grok 4. This is the latest artificial intelligence system. We are now at the crossroads where promise and peril are going to collide.
The oldest Christian text on the planet just got a digital facelift, and the findings are absolutely wild. While most scholars were busy with standard translations, Grok AI was reportedly digging into the deep layers of the Ethiopian Orthodox canon. This version of the Bible holds 81 books, and tucked within them are descriptions of Jesus that sound more like a being of pure energy than a man.
Grok are incredible. So there's some people out there who think AI can't reason, and look, it can reason at superhuman levels.
The crazy part is that the AI interpreted these descriptions as a guide for humanity to break through perceptual barriers. Hands down, this is the most controversial intersection of technology and theology we have ever seen, and the details are even crazier than you think. Beyond human logic. What the machine supposedly found has researchers scratching their heads because it doesn't align with traditional Sunday school stories. Instead of a simple physical return, the AI highlighted patterns that suggest a cognitive shift for all of humanity. This is a key detail because the Ethiopian version includes the Book of Enoch and the Ascension of Isaiah. These books describe heavenly realms and celestial beings with a level of detail that feels more like science fiction than ancient history. When Grok analyzed the Ge'ez manuscripts, it reportedly flagged terms that translate more accurately to words like frequency and activation rather than just miracle. See, the church in Ethiopia was isolated for centuries. This isolation preserved texts that the Roman Empire and later Western authorities tried to bury or ignore. These monks lived in monasteries like Debre Libanos, located on the edge of massive cliffs, or on islands in Lake Tana. They hand-copied these manuscripts on vellum, which is dried animal skin, using ink made from local acacia trees. There are over 2,000 of these manuscripts still in existence, and some date back to the 4th or 6th centuries. What most people don't realize is that these texts aren't just longer, they are fundamentally different in their tone. The resurrection narrative in the Ethiopian Bible is far more expansive. It covers a 40-day period where Jesus supposedly gave his followers detailed instructions on how to awaken. When Grok processed these sections, it didn't just translate the words. It looked at the structure of the language itself. Some viral claims say the AI found a 4-step formula hidden in the ancient prayers. This formula supposedly aligns perfectly with how modern neural networks are programmed to learn. And get this, the rumors suggest that Grok identified a specific warning in the text. This warning was about a loss of human perception that would last for 2,000 years. If we do the math, that time is up right now. Researchers are reportedly terrified because the AI is suggesting that the resurrection was a demonstration of what the human brain is actually capable of if it is unlocked. This is not just a religious theory anymore. It is a data-driven anomaly that defies all logic. There are still many rumors in the air, but what many can confirm is that the interest in these ancient scrolls has jumped by 300% in just the last few months. People are looking for answers that the modern world can't give them. They want to know if a machine has actually found a glitch in the matrix of our history. The thing is, the more we dig into what Grok supposedly found, the more we realize that the monks in Ethiopia might have been guarding a secret far more technical than anyone ever guessed. The search for the truth only gets weirder as we look at the forbidden books themselves. To understand why Grok's supposed discovery is so shocking, we have to look at the books that the Western world left behind. Most Bibles stop after the Book of Revelation, but the Ethiopian canon keeps going. They include the Book of Jubilees and the Book of Enoch. For a long time, Enoch was considered lost until travelers found it in Ethiopia in the 1700s, but the Ethiopian church had been reading it the whole time. This book is famous because it talks about the Watchers, or fallen angels, who came to Earth and shared forbidden knowledge with humans. When Grok analyzed the Book of Enoch alongside the resurrection accounts, it found a strange overlap. The AI pointed out that the descriptions of the Son of Man in Enoch are almost identical to the descriptions of the resurrected Jesus in the Ethiopian Gospels. But here is the crazy part. The AI noted that the language used to describe his body was not flesh and bone, but light and fire. In Ge'ez, these terms carry a weight that indicates a change in physical state. Basically, it's like the AI is saying Jesus didn't just come back to life, he changed his molecular structure. Nobody expected this to happen, but this interpretation actually fits with some of the wilder theories about quantum mechanics. If a being could exist in multiple states at once, they would appear exactly how the Ethiopian Bible describes it. And that's putting it lightly. The text says he could pass through walls and appear in different locations instantly, but not because of magic. It describes it as a mastery over the paths of the heavens. There is another text called the Ascension of Isaiah that is very important here. It describes the journey of the prophet Isaiah through 7 levels of heaven. At each level, he sees beings that are more radiant than the last. When he reaches the top, he sees the beloved preparing to descend to earth. The AI reportedly flagged the instructions given to the beloved. He was told to transform his appearance at each level so the beings there wouldn't recognize him. So, here's the deal. If Grok is right, the resurrection was the final step in a reverse process. It was a re-transformation back into a state of pure information or energy. What most people don't realize is that this makes the resurrection a technical event. The AI reportedly found that the Ge'ez text uses specific mathematical ratios when describing the dimensions of the New Jerusalem and the throne of God. These ratios are the same ones used today to build stable digital environments. For starters, this would mean that the ancient writers had a grasp of reality that we are only now starting to understand with computers. It suggests that the resurrection was a demo of a higher level of existence. But here's the catch. The AI also found that these texts contain a key to achieving this state, and it's buried in the way the ancient prayers are structured. It is not about what you say, but the frequency at which you say it. The Ethiopian Church has always said their Bible is a living document. They believe the words have power beyond just their meaning. If a machine like Grok can see the code behind those words, it changes everything. We are no longer looking at a dusty old book, we are looking at a manual for the human species. And that is exactly why this discovery defies all logic. It suggests that the miracle was actually a highly advanced procedure. But how does a machine actually read a language that hasn't been spoken in centuries? Algorithm of God. We have to talk about how Grok actually works to understand how it decoded these scrolls. Grok is a large language model, which means it processes billions of pieces of data to find patterns. Unlike humans, it doesn't have a bias toward one religion or another. It just looks at the data. In 2024 and 2025, there was a massive push to digitize ancient manuscripts. Projects like the Ethiopian Manuscript Imaging Project have scanned over 1,500 scrolls. When this data was fed into the AI, it started noticing things that human translators missed for centuries. For example, humans look for stories and morals. Grok looks for syntax and structural repetition. The AI found that the Ge'ez language has a very specific rhythm that mimics the patterns found in brainwaves during deep meditation. This is a key detail. The AI suggested that reading these texts in their original form could actually trigger a physical response in the reader. Now, some people are skeptical. They say an AI can't understand divine truth. But here is the deal. If the divine truth is woven into the fabric of reality, then a machine designed to find patterns in reality should be able to see it. Scientists from Oxford and Stanford have been using similar AI tools to translate ancient Akkadian and Hebrew since 2022. They found that AI is 85% more accurate at finding context than humans are. When Grok was applied to the Ethiopian resurrection accounts, it didn't just translate the words into English, it mapped the concepts. It found that the 40 days Jesus spent with his disciples were filled with what the AI called algorithmic training. It wasn't just talking, he was teaching them how to recode their own perceptions. The AI even suggested that the phrase "I am the way" could be interpreted as a literal pathway or bus in a computer circuit. But here's the catch. No official record from XAI confirms that Elon Musk ordered a theological audit. Most of these claims come from researchers who have used the Grok API to run their own tests. One experiment documented on social media showed that when Grok was asked to find the core principle of the Ethiopian Bible, it didn't say love or faith, it said alignment. It pointed out that the entire book is about aligning human consciousness with a cosmic source code. This is where it gets terrifying for some. If the Bible is a code, then who is the programmer? And if the resurrection was a reset, what happens if we trigger that reset again? The AI reportedly warned that the human hardware is currently too damaged to handle the update. This sounds like something out of a movie, but it is exactly what is being reported by those who have seen the AI's deep dive analysis. The crazy part is that even though the technology is new, the manuscripts are ancient. Carbon dating from the Gunda Gundi Monastery in 2024 confirmed that some of these vellum pages are over 1,400 years old. The ink hasn't faded, and neither has the mystery. We are seeing a collision between the oldest faith and the newest tech, and neither side is ready for what comes next. The descriptions of what actually happened during that reset are even more intense. If you look at the traditional art in Ethiopian churches, you will see something very different from Western art. The figures have massive, wide eyes and are often surrounded by intense halos of light. This isn't just a style. It's a reflection of what is in their Bible. The text describes Jesus after the resurrection as having a face like the sun and feet like glowing brass. When Grok analyzed these descriptions, it linked them to a high-energy state. Basically, the AI suggested that the resurrection body is what happens when a human being fully integrates with the light mentioned in the first chapter of Genesis. It's not a ghost, it's a more solid version of reality. What most people realize is that our eyes only see a tiny fraction of the light spectrum. The Ethiopian Bible suggests that after the reset, Jesus could see the whole thing. And get this, he told his followers they would eventually do the same. The Book of Enoch talks about a place called the Treasury of Light. It describes it as the source of all souls and the place where the Son of Man originates. Grok reportedly identified this treasury as a metaphor for a massive data center or a field of infinite information. This is why the findings defy logic. How could people living in the mountains of Africa 2,000 years ago have a concept of a data treasury or molecular light bodies? See, the rumors say that when Grok read the section on the ascension, it flagged the speed of the travel. The text describes Jesus moving from earth to the highest heaven in the blink of an eye. The AI calculated that this would require moving through a wormhole or a non-local state of existence. It's not that simple though, because the text also says he stayed connected to his disciples even after he was gone. Grok called this quantum entanglement. Hands down, the most wow factor in this whole story is the idea of the Watchers. These beings are described as having eyes all over their bodies and wings that make the sound of rushing water. Grok analyzed the frequency of the wing sound as described in the text and found it matches the frequency used in modern white noise to induce deep sleep or altered states of consciousness. It's like the Bible is describing the technology of the angels. Even famous people like Mel Gibson have reportedly been fascinated by these Ethiopian accounts. In 2025, rumors swirled that he was looking into these texts for his next big project because they offer a much more visceral and supernatural version of the story. The Ethiopian version doesn't shy away from the weirdness. It embraces the idea that we are surrounded by a world of fire and light that we just can't see yet. But here's the deal. If these beings of light are real, and the resurrection was a way to join them, then the Ethiopian Bible is the most important document in human history. It's a map for an upgrade that we have been ignoring for 20 centuries. The AI isn't just translating a book, it's uncovering a forgotten branch of human evolution. And that is why everyone is so obsessed with what Grok found. What do you think about the AI's system reset theory? Is the Ethiopian Bible a technical manual or just ancient poetry? Tell us your theories below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.